Welcome to News 9 Live, and you are watching On Point with me. And before I introduce you to today's On Points, let's take a quick look at the headlines. Ajikar hospital staff hides Kolkata doctor's death, misleads parents in audio call. Mamata Banerjee says she hasn't uttered a word against student movement and alleges BJP is trying to create anarchy. INS Arikhat, India's second nuclear-powered submarine commissioned into Navy. Assam Assembly passes bill to abolish Muslim Marriages and Divorces Act. Day after rap for remark on farmers' protest, Kangana says no to caste census. BJP says not our stand. Youth on Mind, accepting defeat and victory motto. Rahul Gandhi plans Bharat Dojo Yatra. Pakistan formally invites Prime Minister Modi to attend SCO meeting in Islamabad in October. Supreme Court rebukes Telangana CM Revanth Reddy for questioning bail to K. Kavita. Gujarat floods. 30,000 displaced and crocodile invade flooded streets in residential areas. Kolkata rape and murder case took a dramatic turn with revelation of the audio conversation between hospital authority and Abhaya's parents. News 9 is in possession of the exclusive audio clip exposing how RGKR hospital authorities misled Abhaya's parents. News 9 has obtained recording of the calls made by hospital's assistant superintendent, where parents were initially told that their daughter was unwell and later informed she had committed suicide. On August 9, the assistant superintendent contacted the victim's father 3 times. And what exactly he said in these calls? Let me play the first clip.
হ্যাঁ
হ্যালো, তার বাড়ির লোক
কেন কে বলছে?
আরজিকর হসপিটাল থেকে বলছিলাম।
কেন কি হয়েছে?
ওর একটু শরীরটা খারাপ হয়েছে, আপনারা কি একটু আসতে পারবেন ইমিডিয়েট?
কেন কি হয়েছে কি?
ওর শরীরটা খারাপ, আমরা ভর্তি করাচ্ছি ওকে, আপনি কি ইমিডিয়েট একটু আসতে পারবেন?
কি হয়েছে কি সেটা বলবেন তো?
সেটা তো ডাক্তাররা বলবে আপনারা এলে। আমরা আমরা আপনার নাম্বারটা জোগাড় করলাম, করে জানালাম যে বাড়ির লোক হিসেবে আপনারা একটু তাড়াতাড়ি আসুন।
কি হয়েছে সেটা বলো না তুমি।
পেশেন্ট শরীরটা খারাপ, ভর্তি হয়েছে হসপিটালে, বাকিটা আপনারা এলে ডাক্তার বলবে।
ওর কি জ্বর হয়েছে?
আপনারা একটু আসুন, জলদি চলে আসুন, যত তাড়াতাড়ি পারবেন।
কেন খুব অবস্থা খারাপ?
খুব অবস্থা খারাপ, হ্যাঁ খুব অবস্থা খারাপ, একটু তাড়াতাড়ি চলে আসুন।
কি হয়েছে?
ড্রাইভারে ফোন করো।
হ্যালো,
হ্যাঁ ঠিক আছে ঠিক আছে।
হ্যাঁ একটু তাড়াতাড়ি আসবেন। হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ বলুন। হ্যালো
হ্যালো
হ্যাঁ বলুন।
বাবা বলছি।
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ বলুন বলুন।
কি হয়েছে কি সেটা বলো না একটু।
ওনার অবস্থা খুবই খারাপ, ওনার অবস্থা খুবই খারাপ, আপনি যতটা তাড়াতাড়ি পারবেন চলে আসুন।
কি হয়েছে না সেটা বলো না।
ওটা তো ডাক্তার বলবে, আপনি একটু তাড়াতাড়ি চলে আসুন এখানে।
আপনি কে বলছেন বলুন তো?
আমি অ্যাসিস্ট্যান্ট সুপার বলছি, আমি ডাক্তার বলছি না।
ডাক্তার নেই ওখানে কেউ?
আমি সুপারিনটেন্ডেন্ট কথা বলছি। হ্যালো,
হ্যাঁ ঠিক আছে।
হ্যাঁ আমি অ্যাসিস্ট্যান্ট সুপারিনটেন্ডেন্ট কথা বলছি। আপনার মেয়েকে আমরা এমার্জেন্সিতে নিয়ে এসেছি, আপনারা আসুন, এসে যোগাযোগ করুন।
ও কি হয়েছিল কি? ও তো ডিউটিতে ছিল।
আপনারা জলদি চলে আসুন, যতটা তাড়াতাড়ি পারবেন।
হ্যালো
হ্যাঁ অ্যাসিস্ট্যান্ট সুপার বলছি।
হ্যাঁ
হ্যাঁ শুনুন, আপনাকে তখন বারবার বলছিলাম, ব্যাপারটা হচ্ছে যে আপনার মেয়ে উনি সুসাইড করেছেন হয়তো, বা কিছু মারা গেছেন। পুলিশ রয়েছে, আমরা হসপিটালে সবার সামনেই রয়েছি, ফোন করছি, আপনারা যতটা তাড়াতাড়ি পারবেন চলে আসুন।
আমরা আসছি এক্ষুনি আসছি।
হ্যাঁ একটু তাড়াতাড়ি চলে আসুন।
আমার মেয়েটা
Not only this, News 9 has also accessed the police calls made to the victim's family. Let's listen in.
হ্যাঁ হ্যালো,
হ্যাঁ বলুন।
আমি আইজি আজিকর বলছিলাম।
হ্যাঁ
আচ্ছা
বলুন।
আপনারা আসছেন তো
হ্যাঁ
এখানে?
একদম আসছি। কেমন
আসুন,
আছে শরীর?
আপনারা আসুন, আসলে কথা হবে। আসুন, আজিকর হসপিটালে আসুন, আমাদের এই চেস্ট ডিপার্টমেন্টের এইচওডি স্যারের কাছে আসুন।
হ্যাঁ,
হ্যাঁ বলুন।
আপনাদের বাবা বলছিলাম।
আচ্ছা আসুন, আপনারা আসুন,
হ্যাঁ, চলে
আপনারা
আসছি,
আসুন।
চলে আসছি,
কত
চলে
দূর
আসছি।
এসেছেন? আস্তে আস্তে আসুন, কত দূর এসেছেন?
এই তো বিডি রোডে উঠলাম এখনই।
আচ্ছা আসুন, এসে সোজা আমাদের অফিসে ওপরে আসবেন। ওপরে ডিপার্টমেন্টের চেস্ট ডিপার্টমেন্টের ওপরে হেড এইচওডি ঘরে আসবেন, ঠিক আছে?
কোন ঘরে?
হেড অফ দ্য ডিপার্টমেন্টের ঘরে, চেস্টের।
চিনি না তো। ঠিক আছে, আছি, যাবো।
আসুন।
The audio clips also highlight discrepancies between the timeline of the actual incident and the police report that was filed by the Kolkata police before the Supreme Court. The police report mentioned that the hospital administration made only one call to the victim's parents at 10:52 and 10:53, informing the parents of their daughter's death. The report made no mention of two other calls that were made by the hospital superintendent, and neither did the report mention suicide. The police report also didn't mention any call that the police made to the victim's parents. Now, Abhaya's parents also commented on the revelations made by the audio calls.
সিবিআই একই কথা বলে যাচ্ছে, আমাদের যা ক্ষমতা আছে আমরা সর্বশক্তি দিয়ে চেষ্টা করছি।
ঘটনার পর মুখ্যমন্ত্রী বাড়িতে এসেছিলেন, ওনার যেটা বক্তব্য আপনাদের সব দাবি দাবা তিনি মেনেছিলেন।
আমাদের কোনো দাবি ছিল না, আমাদের দাবি একটাই যে আমরা বিচার যেন পাই।
হ্যাঁ,
কিন্তু পুলিশের যে কর্মকাণ্ড দেখছিলাম সেটা আমরা সন্তুষ্ট হতে পারিনি, তার জন্যই আমরা হাইকোর্টের কাছে ভালো এগিয়ে দিয়েছিলাম। হাইকোর্ট সিবিআইকে ভালো মনে করেছে, তাই দিয়েছে। আমাদের একটা জায়গায় আস্থা আমাদের রাখতেই হবে।
মুখ্যমন্ত্রী বলেছেন বিচার চায় না, ওরা কেসটা জলে ফেলে দিল। যদিও ওরা মানে কাকে বলেছেন সেটা
আমাদেরই বলেছেন।
আমাদেরই বলেছেন। উনি হয়তো সিবিআই কে পছন্দ করেন না, তার জন্য বলেছেন, সেটা ওনার ব্যাপার, এটা ওনার বক্তব্য, আমি কিছু বলবো না।
I'm joined by a noted historian, writer Hindol Sen Gupta. I'm also joined by input editor of News 9 Live, Brijesh Pandey. But I'll straight away go to Hindol Sen Gupta. Subsequently, I'll pay the bites we have of the political plays in Bengal. But Hindol, what does it tell us? Completely shoddy investigation, cover up, or complete lack of empathy on part of the Chief Minister of West Bengal? What's the big picture? Because the outrage expressed by the students had a basis, and this is the basis. This is the basis. This must have been the talk in the first 48 hours.
You know, Kartikeya, you'll remember that when you mentioned me talking about this issue a few days ago, I actually, to begin with, my first instinct was to say no, because I don't want to get in. I never get into, political parties and their local activity and all of that. But I'm a Bengali. I can't deny that. And I had actually never heard these phone recordings before. I can't remember a moment when I felt worse than I'm feeling at the moment. What would be going on in the minds of these parents who are being called by these absolute scumbags who are calling them up and lying about their daughter's death? This is unbelievable. This is a shame. It's a blot on the name of all the culture that we talk about as Bengalis. I have never felt more ashamed. I grew up in a Gunda-laden CPM Bengal. I know that Bengali society has been rotten with politics, Gundaism and jihadism for the last 40 years. But I have never felt this bad as I'm feeling as I heard these clips played out. This is shocking. The apathy, the callousness. A woman is brutally raped. Her pelvic, bones are shattered. She's been murdered. And with the callousness with which the RG Corp people were calling the parents, the police were calling the parents, as if, the tone was as if her daughter had gone to have tea or something. I mean, this is the lowest point of Bengali society. And today, as Bengalis, if we still are proud of our culture, this should make us really ashamed. This is the lowest ebb. We should never talk about being the land of Tagore. We should never talk about being the land of Vivekananda. If Vivekananda and Tagore were alive today and heard these phone recordings, they would have disowned us. Shame on us, Bengalis. This is a blot on our conscience. These recordings that you have played right now is a blot on our conscience. This is the destruction of everything Bengalis are proud of. We should never talk about Bengali pride after this. This is abysmal. This is our lowest point. I mean, the tonality of the police, the tonality of these costly people at RG-Kor hospital towards parents, elderly parents whose daughter has been murdered, for crying out loud, raped and murdered. I am appalled. I have never been this angry on any TV program that I have been, but I have never heard something like this in my life. I'm absolutely appalled. The Bengal state has become a gunda state. It is a state run by mafia and mafiosis and jihadists. It's ghastly. This is our lowest point as the Bengali people. I'm sorry, I don't mean to outrage on your channel, but this is truly, truly our lowest point.
You know, it's absolutely okay. People are outraged in Kolkata, people are outraged in West Bengal. You are just expressing your anguish. But there's a larger issue here also. Do people forget that electoral majority does not mean that there is no place for dissent, that there is no power of the street, or there is no power of a street protest? I think for me as a journalist sitting in Delhi, I think that's where the problem is. Just because you have the numbers in assembly doesn't mean that there will be no outrage, and the mandate or the cultural mandate, political mandate or social mandate is settled. In democracies it gets challenged, and that's what people and the students have done there.
I hope, as somebody who deeply values and has spent most of my adult life researching and writing about religion, I really hope the law of karma strikes here. There has to be a payback for this. The people of Calcutta must awake. I mean, I was wondering yesterday why Arijit Singh, who's really a fairly non-political, apolitical person like many of us, why did he finally make that anguish-filled song, Ar Kobe, which in Bengali means, if not now, when? Why did he make this song suddenly? And he's from Malda. I understand why. He also must have seen all this. He has heard all this. If the people of Calcutta, if the people of Bengal do not wake up today, remember, this will happen to each one of your daughters. This will happen to your sons, your grandsons, your grandchildren, your granddaughters. This is coming to every doorstep. This will not stop here. And let me point out, Kartikeya, if you will give me 10 seconds. I also saw a video which appalled me, though not to this degree that the clips you played out today, about of this goon, this Ali character, who is supposedly this goon at RG-Kor, threatening essentially the interim head of that college. As a child in Calcutta, I grew up with these great institutions like RG-Kor, who were really valued institutions. They have reached their lowest point. Gundas are now threatening the interim head, saying, I will be here and I'm here. I've been sent here by the party machinery to keep an eye on all of you. And yet, this doesn't move the conscience of the people of Bengal. Now I understand why yesterday I got so many messages saying the Bandh has been so successful. This is like back in the day, a CPM Bandh in Calcutta where everything would shut down. And now I understand why people are so anguished.
Okay, very important point. Has TMC created another party state? But let me straight away go across to my correspondent Saurabh Datta. Saurabh, truly mind-boggling. The conversation has actually shown us the light. They have made the picture clear. They are out and open. What sort of response you are getting from the streets of Kolkata, from the people? Logo se.
कार्तिकेय, देखिए कार्तिकेय, अभी ये जो क्लिप सामने आया है TV9 के जरिए, ये हमने पहला ब्रेक थ्रू दिया है इसकी ऑडियो क्लिप को लेकर, और इसको देख के जो डॉक्टर्स है, जो जूनियर डॉक्टर्स है, जो पीपल है, हर जगह यही चर्चे में है कि कितना इनसेंसिटिव वे से एक मैसेज पर्कुलेट किया गया है, एक मैसेज कन्वे किया गया है अपने उस परिवार को, उस तिलोत्तमा के परिवार को जो मैसेज दिया गया है। अगर इस मैसेज में जो दिखा जा रहा है, जो महिला असिस्टेंट, जो लेडी असिस्टेंट सुपर है, जो महिला असिस्टेंट सुपर है, जो क्लेम कर रही है कि वो महिला असिस्टेंट सुपर है, वो कह रही है ऑडियो क्लिप में कि यहाँ पे सब है, हॉस्पिटल में है हम लोग सब, मैं आपको ये मैसेज दे रही हूँ। प्रश्न ये उठता है कि अगर हॉस्पिटल के सबके सामने वो मैसेज दे रही है तो वहाँ पे MSBP थे, संजय वशिष्ठ थे, उपाध्यक्ष थे, अध्यक्ष थे, डीन ऑफ स्टूडेंट्स वो खुद एक औरत है, बुलबुल मुखर्जी, बाद में जिन्होंने एमएसपी का चार्ज संभाला था और जिनको बाद में हटाना पड़ा मूवमेंट के एजिटेशन के जरिए। तो बुलबुल मुखर्जी भी ये बात कह सकती थी, ये बात डिपार्टमेंट के और एक कोई कह सकता था, जो चेस्ट मेडिसिन के एचओडी है वो कह सकते थे, अध्यक्ष कह सकते थे, उपाध्यक्ष कह सकते हैं, लेकिन एक असिस्टेंट सुपर के जरिए ये मैसेज दिया गया और वो भी इस तरीके से पूरा मैसेज अगर आप ध्यान से सुनेंगे तो वहाँ पे कभी कहीं भी कोई एम्पैथी नहीं है, कोई सिंपैथी नहीं है उस परिवार के, वो दे रहे हैं। यहाँ तक कि उनके डॉक्टर का इस हाल में मौत हुआ और वो कह रहे हैं कि एक पेशेंट एडमिट है, आप चले आइए। तो ये साफ जाहिर, एक बहुत बारीकी से अगर देखा जाए तो ये साफ जाहिर करता है कि ये पूरा स्क्रिप्टेड है, क्योंकि पहला फ़ोन आप 10:53 को कर रहे हैं और वहाँ पे बोल रहे हैं कि आपका बेटी अभी सीरियसली इल है, उनको एडमिट किया गया है। उसके बाद आप जो फ़ोन कर रहे हैं उसमें आप बोल रहे हैं हम अभी उनको इमरजेंसी में लाए हैं, अभी डॉक्टर देख रहे हैं। उसके बाद जो आप फ़ोन कर रहे हैं उसमें आप बोल रहे हैं कि आपकी बेटी अभी तक हम आपको बताने की कोशिश कर रहे थे, तो अभी आपका बेटी नहीं रही, वो सुसाइड कर लिया है। एक सीन क्रिएट कर रहे थे वो, जैसे वो घटना उनके सामने घट रही है, उनके सामने उनका बेटी सीरियसली इल कंडीशन में है, वो एडमिट है, उसके बाद वो संग जा रही है, इमरजेंसी में उनको लाया गया है, डॉक्टर है, फिर वो कह रही है कि अब नहीं रही है। ये क्रोनोलॉजी मेंटेन किया गया है। ये क्रोनोलॉजी मेंटेन करने की ज़रूरत क्या था? क्यों वो ऐसे कह रहे थे? अगर मैंने इस बारे में मान लिया कि पिता माता बहुत दूर है, तो इसलिए वो चाहते थे कि एक झटके में उनको ये मैसेज ना जाए। अगर वो भी मान लूँ तो वो ये कह सकते थे आप आ जाइए, आपका बेटी का तबीयत बीमार है। लेकिन उसके बाद उन्होंने सीन क्रिएट किया, जैसे उसके सामने सब घट रहा है, अभी इमरजेंसी में आया, अभी डॉक्टर देख रहा है, अभी उनको एडमिट किया गया है। ये सब कहने का क्या ज़रूरत था? यहाँ से सवाल उठता है कि ये सब किसी के कहने से वो किए, क्योंकि अगर वहाँ पे और भी सारे लोग थे वो भी इसका रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ले सकते थे, उनको क्यों आगे कर दिया गया? ये सोच के आगे कर दिया कि आगे चलते अगर कोई भी प्रॉब्लम हो तो फंसेगी ये असिस्टेंट सुपर, लेडी असिस्टेंट सुपर। उनके जो ऊपर जो स्तर में जो है आधिकारिक है, आला जो है, उनके ऊपर उनके कॉलर या उनके गिरबान पे कोई हाथ नहीं डालेगा, ये सोच के किया गया है। क्यों ये सवाल आ रहा है? क्योंकि जो आउटसाइडर्स है, जो इन्फ्लुएंसर्स है, जो क्लोज टू संदीप घोष है, वो सब हाजिर यहाँ पे हुए थे इस मैसेज को लेके, जो एक सेकेंड ईयर पीजीटी रेप एंड मर्डर हुआ है। उनके पास मैसेज क्लियर था, इसीलिए है। शांतनु दे मुहुरी, वो जो एडवोकेट जिनको वो फुटेज में देखा गया था, वो किस लिए आए थे? वो तो इसलिए ही आए थे ना कि वो लॉयर के जो
Saurabh, I think you made the point. I think you made the point, and this is the reason why, Saurabh, there was so much of an outrage. I'm also joined by Jayanto Bhattacharya, senior journalist, Navneet Rajan Vasan, former joint director CBI and former special DG NIA. But first to you, Brijesh, what I really want to understand is, when there is a case of a sexual assault, rape, is this the procedure? Is this the way the messages are communicated to victims' family? I mean, you have covered agencies, you have covered courts. Is this the procedure? Is this what happens?
Karthikeya, honestly speaking, whenever any call is made to the parents, usually it is made in a way that that the parents don't get shock right there, and they are in a position to come to the hospital or any other place where the crime has taken place, and they are given a lowdown of what exactly happened. The case right now differs completely from the said procedure is because, we knew about this right from day one, about the 3 calls which were made. What makes it very shocking is now for the first time we are hearing the voice, we are hearing the sheer callousness, the sheer lack of empathy in the voice of the assistant super who was making the call to the parents who are about to, to get the shock of their life in the third call when they were told that their daughter has committed suicide. I think, what is surprising for me is, and honestly speaking, the reason I'm saying this is that above politics, above politics and everything, I think we should also get to know what exactly the CBI is investigating, because what has happened there, the crime apart, the crime is a ghastly crime and it should be condoned and people involved should be given most brutal punishment possible. But I think, more important is also the role which has been played by the hospital administration. I don't think that the assistant super would have made that call on her own. It is about the other people who are there, who are standing right next to them, who are listening to the conversation made. And I completely agree with Saurabh that, that they were trying to create a situation as if, that first, that she is ill, she has gone to the hospital. Second, that she is seriously unwell. And then third, that she has committed suicide. So they're making a case study, which is extremely unfortunate. I think, the entire hospital administration should be booked under section 120B, which is, the being party to the crime, and they should be dealt accordingly. But right now, I think, I'm honestly speaking, I'm also a bit surprised that the hospital principal, Sanjay Ghosh, who's said to be so close to Mamata Banerjee and been running the entire place with fiefdom, has not been arrested. And so has the assistant super and other hospital, workers. They have not been arrested. I'm honestly surprised why all of them have not been arrested. I think it's a criminal conspiracy, if not anything.
You have made a brilliant point, Brijesh. You made a brilliant point. I'm joined by Navneet Vasan, sir. What do you have to, you must have heard the clips. We have played them over in our program, in which contradictory information is being shared with Abhaya's parents. What comes across is the shoddiness on part of the hospital administration. And I think my colleague Brijesh is right that these people wouldn't have just made calls like that. Prima facie, what do you make of it, sir?
Let me make two things very clear. We should not mix up the callousness of hospital administration and their lapses and the crime which has taken place. As a police officer, as a past investigator, for me, if I was the investigator in this case, the most important thing would have been to collect the evidence meticulously against and trace the culprit, arrest him, and then prosecute him and ensure that it leads to convincing punishment to the culprit. Now, coming to the first issue, when you are saying the people were callous and they conveyed the news of death or whatever happened to the parents in a very, I will say careless manner, without any sympathy or empathy, as your colleague said, that is a secondary part of the investigation. That is important. I am not saying that is not important, but that is not very important at the moment. At the moment, the CBI's focus should be on the investigation of the case and catching hold of the culprit, because there is a fear. I don't know. There is a fear, and there is a lot of news items that the crime scene was disturbed. Crime scene was trampled upon. So the initial advantage of any investigation agency is lost to the CBI. It does not have the advantage of being the first respondent to the crime which has taken place. It was Calcutta police. So if any evidence is lost, so the challenge to CBI becomes much difficult, They have to ensure that the due evidence is collected, so that, which includes whether it's oral statement, whether it is scientific evidence, forensic evidence, so that the culprit can be brought to. That's the most important thing at the moment. And these individuals who participated, whether deliberately or on somebody's instructions in conveying something which was not correct, which was falsehood, must be investigated, but that should not be given the prime importance. Prime importance should be the crime which has taken.
Fair enough. The crime is important. I understand the legalese of it, but Jayanto, isn't it like missing the wood for the trees? Because the outrage on the street was also because of this shoddiness on part of the administration. If you recall the first 48 hours, what was the talk? They are hiding something, different messages, lack of faith, politics and social institutions. The compact between the government and people is faith. What RG Kar demonstrated was that the faith between Mamata Banerjee's government and the people was snapped by RG Kar. She has the majority through constitutional electoral methods, but there's something else in politics which works. Faith. I think RG Kar snapped that faith.
Kartika, that is what I had been talking about all this time. I termed it as a can of worms. And as soon as the can opened, there are more and more worms coming out and various lengths and sizes of worms that are coming out. Now, this particular, I don't know how it originated, this particular conversation, this recording, wherever it has originated, but it has also proved another point, that in the beginning, there were talks about the Calcutta police calling up the parents and informing about the condition of the doctor who was killed. Later, there were clarification that no, the call came from the hospital, and which we have seen in this particular recording, or rather recordings, that indeed the call was made from the hospital. Now, about this particular conversation, I have been listening to it more than once, quite a few times on your channel since the time you broke this story. It appears that this particular person is not really an administrator. If I can say, we have all been covering such cases or similar cases. We know we have ourselves been the bearer of bad news on several occasions. We have heard others giving us this kind of news. So there is a particular written or unwritten protocol, especially for administrative managers or officers, which they follow. If you listen closely to the tone, tenor, and the content of that particular person, that especially the voice, the woman's voice that was in the first recording that we heard, it is not really that of an administrator, number one. Number two, you can make out that there is a kind of a more than urgency. There is a kind of a what shall I do? It's a kind of a confusion. The way that you please come over, jaldi aa jaiye, come over very quickly. And all these things, this indicates that this person was not really an administrator who is capable of doing her job. Number two, she must have been briefed before making the call. Who had briefed her? How was she briefed? Is this a hospital? Is this how they react? When they are attending to patients, they are attending to the dead, they are attending to seriously wounded people, they must be informing their family. Is this the way they have been always informing the family? And especially in this particular issue, when you have seen the body, you are a doctor, you are a medical practitioner, you are aware that what is going on. And then you say that she has taken ill, you come over quickly, but you can make out the desperation. Now, coming to the part of the politics, this is what I have been talking about all this time, Kartikeya. That this particular rage, this fury of the common people, it is not aimed at the investigation as of now. There are certain political messages that have come that if we protest, we should protest against the current investigating agency. But this current fury is aimed at that particular period since the time the body was found and till the time that the CBI has taken up the case. And all these are proving that that can of worms, it is becoming bigger, and the worms are also becoming bigger. Now, talking about what you had asked me in the question about the majority that Mamata Banerjee enjoys in the West Bengal Assembly, let us not forget that this is the reflection of the trust, the faith of the common people. And once, in fact, Mamata Banerjee should remember this well, because in 2011, when she came into power, it was the people who had suffered during the regime of the left front. And
I'll take a quick response. Okay, Jento, I'll take a quick response from Hindol, because something he said, it has stayed in my mind. Has West Bengal again turned into a party state? When CPM lost power, people said, well, the party state has gone. Has West Bengal turned into a party state? Why does it continue to be a party state?
Yeah, I was there when Mamata Banerjee first came to power. I had been covering at that time I was a journalist. I was covering the Shingur case, and months on end I was in Calcutta. And I saw the jubilation that, many people in Kolkata, though of course many of us business journalists knew that economically this was a fatal move. You are driving out one of the biggest investments that the state really needed. I maintain that the only person who had some semblance of an idea of what to do with Bengal was Buddhadev Bhattacharya. But sadly, even though I don't like communists, and I make no bones about this, but Buddhadev Bhattacharya was the only person who knew something about how to fix the state. And we saw the jubilation when Mamata first came to power. But you see, the thing is, what happened under Mamata is exactly the same goons, the cadre, the Gunda Raj, which was in every level of Bengali society. Those goons essentially just threw away the red flag, and picked up the Trinamool flag. That's all that happened. And many of them who were under you see, the CPM had created at least a cloak, a veneer of respectability. You know, all the Bengali Bhadranok were at the top, and there were only goons right to the bottom, so to speak. What happened under the Trinamool was that the goons actually became netas. They became leaders. And that's amazing. Like, I mean, that's an appalling thing. Please remember, Bengal is the only place, perhaps, I don't know about Kerala, perhaps it happens in Kerala also, but Bengal is the only place where at every level, everything is controlled by the party. Today in Bengal, you want to build a house. Where will you go to buy cement? You have to go through something, distributors that are approved by the party. They will take their own cut. You go to buy bricks. You go to buy groceries, everything is controlled by the party. It is the only place in India where people are scared to give their house on rent, because if a party person gets into the house, you will lose control of that house forever. This is what happened during the CPM rule. This happens even today. Land disappears exactly like this. So this entire edifice, there is no level of society in Bengal where the party does not control everything. And it has been, it's almost like the mafia. Little pockets have been given to different people. And, in Bengali, we call them dadas, they are the bahubalis. In Uttar Pradesh, they would be called the bahubalis. They control those pockets. And their collection, so to speak, then, of course, fund everything. But what is the root cause? Give me 10 seconds. What is the root cause? The root cause is absolute economic degradation. There is no other way for either the people or the party or anyone else to raise money for themselves. Bengal has an abysmal economic state. It is one of the only places in India which has actually consistently fallen behind. It is the worst place among big states in India in terms of capital infusion in the state. So, economically it's a joke. So the fact is that apart from this kind of mafia regime, there is no other way that money can be collected in Bengal. And this is why it has become a party state at every level.
Brijesh, do you think that Ma Mati Manush brand has been damaged?
Well, I will hold my observation on that. I will wait for some time to before I can say authoritatively that that the brand image of Mamata Banerjee has been dented considerably, because I have seen what Sandesh Khali happened, and there were many who felt that that 2024 would be a completely different game-changing event, but nothing of that sort happened. She consolidated her position from 2019. So I'm not going to guess the electoral arithmetic which way it goes, but it definitely does put Mamata Banerjee under scanner, because the fact that she's presented herself as some sort of sensitive person, who has many women MPs and all, and fiery, articulate, who espouses cause, and you're never known for not speaking their mind. All of a sudden it looked like the cat got collective tongues of the TMC fire brigade. The second part is that that if you noticed since last night and early morning, a message has started circulating which says that that we are not against the protesting doctors, we are with the protesting doctors.
There's a change.
There's a change. So there's a political
change.
That's saying that we are with the junior doctors, we are only against the Bharatiya Janata Party. And the reason why this emphasis has been being made since last evening till right now when we are debating this is to make sure that that people get the distinction.
Mr. Vasan, in this entire matrix, I know it's time to end my show, in this entire matrix, how challenging does the job of the investigating agency is?
It becomes very difficult because there is too much of pressure, and police officers, whether they belong to state police or CBI, sometimes tend to get influenced by the kind of environment in which they have to work, and there is they try to deliver quick results. And as a professional police officer, we should do our job objectively, we should do our job timely, we should keep the timeline very, very tight. But at the same time, we don't have to do something, or we don't have to do investigation in such a manner that we file a charge sheet in 10 days, because I hear there are demand that 10 days the charge sheet has not been filed, the justice has not been done. And it's hilarious. It's the investigation has to be meticulous, and these cases do take time. They have to wait for forensic analysis, which takes minimum 2 to 3 weeks till they get that analysis reports, till they examine the doctors who have conducted the postmortem, because there are serious gaps in the postmortem which has been circulated or which is available in public. I don't know the detailed postmortem, but what is available in the public, there are serious gaps. So the doctors have to be examined. So everything takes time, and police officer is not an expert. He has to, kind of study it carefully, make out questions, ask the doctors, ask the witnesses who were there, put together the evidences which is available, whether it is in the form of people who were present at the time when the offense took place, or who were the people who reached immediately
Absolutely,
after the crime
sir.
has taken place.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about, sir, that you can't push the agencies. But the fact of the matter is that the protests which have taken place in Kolkata, they are very unique. And for me, if I have to really sum up at the end of my program, is that once this outrage is not only about a rape and murder, it's about mishandling, it is about hubris, it is about things not changing at a structural level. And I completely agree with Hindol Sengupta and Brijesh Pandey on this. One, that this party state system needs to be dismantled, and second, there has to be a parallel inquiry into what happened inside the hospital, because the outrage on the street is reflection of what happened inside. People were outraged by the crime. It's like Nirbhaya's crime in Delhi. But what happened inside the hospital is something which broke people's faith. And I think that's where the story is. Thank you, all of you.